In the blue corner, measuring in at 40 millimeters, representing the entry-level mainstream brand retailing at $850, we have the Tissot PRX Automatic. In the red corner, measuring in at 39 millimeters, representing the micro brands retailing in at $750, we have the Baltic Aqua Scarf. This is a battle to find out what category wins when thinking of starting your collection. This is One Talk with Francis. I'm Francis, and let's get into this battle. Now, I know I called this a battle, but it's not really a battle. I think this is more like, I don't know if this is you guys tell me, is this more of a Nigerian thing when you go for weddings and there's that thing between the bride and groom and the MC tries to do like a game but nobody wins? It's Nigerian, Abby? Yeah, exactly. Good. So I think it's more of one of those where I don't think anybody wins, but I want us to really deliberate it. Now, some days ago, a few of my friends were over and we were talking about starting collections, and a lot of us all went through different routes when starting our collections. And we found maybe this was because a lot of us started years ago. I started mine 20 years ago. And I think the options, I don't know if the options were less or maybe the information was less, I don't know, but we all got in a bit heavier. Now I think it's much easier. First of all, then I don't think there was really the concept of micro brands I'm saying in 2005, the concept of micro brands wasn't really a big deal. And I mean, my first watch was a Panerai Luminor. And I mean, I spent a good buck on it, but I was kind of like in a celebratory mode. I had just gotten married and, I was trying to get into the game a bit heavy. Now, these days, there's a lot more options and a lot more price ranges, and you could sneak in a bit earlier. It's funny that I have gone through that part of my collection, and now I get excited when I buy some of my Casio watches for $30, $40. So entry level is relative, like I always preach. And y'all know I always say, buy what you like. Now that said, the topic of today's conversation really is, would you rather buy a recognizable mainstream brand for your entry level or a micro brand watch? Now, to me, I feel it depends on quite a number of things which would be individually categorized to the person who is buying. For instance, your personality. I'll use myself, which is why when people say to me, you don't like Rolexes, you don't like Richard Milles, it's not that I don't like them. I am not necessarily a fan of things generally that are overly recognizable. That's just me. But then again, I think if you are buying your first watch, your personality is going to determine what direction you're going to. By that, we're talking about, are you the person who wants to walk in the door and everybody looks and says, oh, he's wearing a blah, 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 or okay, that's a nice watch he's wearing, we don't know what that is. Now, whichever of those two lines you fall into, if you prefer to be more recognizable with your watch, then I believe you will be leaning more to the mainstream brand as an entry level. If you don't mind that and you are probably a true enthusiast in the making, is when you would look into the micro brands. Now, another thing to look at is the usage of the watch. If you want a one and done, just buy one watch that you're going to use through different functions, different attires that you're going to wear, that might, pretty much, determine which you're going to lean to. Now, the beauty of that is that you could go either ways. You could go mainstream with the PRX, for instance. It's got a bracelet. Or you could get Baltic Chronograph, which has a bracelet as well. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule to these things. So I really think that recognition part plays a lot in determining which you're going to get. Now, another thing that, I would have thought about is price. Now, the beauty of it is that most of them kind of balance out. You would find entry-level mainstream brand watches. You could start off with a Seiko. My favorite is SSK 023 for $400, which is even cheaper than a Baltic MR01. But it would depend on the usage, the style, the size. It would depend on that. So I don't think price really is the matter because they kind of balance out together. After sales would be another thing to probably consider. Thinking that micro brands tend to be brands that might not have brick and mortar stores. You probably buy them off the internet and, or from a third party dealer. And maybe you want to get your watch serviced or you have a problem with it. Whereas if you walked into any watch dealership and they sell Tissot, you could get them repaired or, any of the entry level mainstream brands. So after sales is something that I think you should think about while making this decision. Now, the jury is definitely out on this conversation. I don't have the answers. I think you guys do. So if you do, let's actually have this battle in the comments because I want to know. I want to know what your take is on it, which you'd rather go with. If I was starting my collection all over again, knowing what I know now, I'll be the first to say I'll definitely go micro brand for sure. That is because I have the enthusiast DNA in me. I've probably always had it. And I think I would be more intrigued in the story, in the small beginnings and trying to grow with the micro brands as against going with the mass market entry level. But that's just me. And I might just be talking because I've been in this game for much longer. So all of you, let's talk this out in the comments and let's have the battle in the comments. It was fun talking watches. What Talk with Francis. Bye, guys.